How are top 1% agents writing their ChatGPT queries to get the best possible results? We're going to talk about that today. Stay tuned.
This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. How many homes are you going to sell this year? Do you have the right tools? Is your website turning soft leads into interested buyers? Are you spending money on leads that aren't converting? Well, Real Geeks is your solution. Find out why agents across the country choose Real Geeks as their technology partner. Real Geeks was created by an agent for agents. They pride themselves on delivering a sales and marketing solution so that you can easily generate more business. Their agent websites are fast and built for lead conversion with a smooth search experience for your visitors. Real Geeks also includes an easy-to-use agent CRM. So once a lead signs up on your website, you can track their interest and have great follow-up conversations. Real Geeks is loaded with a ton of marketing tools to nurture your leads and increase brand awareness. Visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod and find out why realtors come to Real Geeks to generate more business. Again, visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod. And now, onto our show. Today's episode is brought to you by Corded.io. Are you looking for agents to join your brokerage or team? Now, as a real estate recruiter, I can tell you the answer is always yes. But most agents aren't looking to move right now. So how do you know who to contact? Well, what if I were to tell you there's a recruiting and retention tool powered by artificial intelligence that shows you exactly which agents in your local market are looking to leave their brokerage right now and which agents at your own firm are also looking to leave you? Now, I've been recruiting realtors for 15 years and I've hired over 2,000 agents. I can tell you with no exaggeration, this is the tool I've been waiting for. Corded's AI looks for trends across dozens of variables for each agent in your market and shows you which agents they believe are likely to move. Not only does it do that, but Corded's AI went and visited my recruiting website and read everything I offer. So now when I'm recruiting, Corded's AI tells me exactly what to say based on that agent's needs and what my brokerage can offer. It even writes emails for me. I've never seen anything like it, and I use it every single day. Now, if you are looking to grow your brokerage, Corded.io is the best tool out there. Visit Corded.io to schedule a demo. Again, that's Corded.io. And now, onto the show.
Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. And today I'm the guest. Well, I'm not actually the guest, but what I am going to share with you is a webinar, or rather a seminar that I did for the Women's Council of Realtors here in the Chicagoland area, specifically talking about how top 1% agents utilize ChatGPT and specifically how they craft their queries. So we may be using ChatGPT to write or ask for things like help with our listing presentation or maybe some social media post ideas. But there are ways you can supercharge those questions, and I provide the framework for exactly how to do that in a 5-step process. It's super easy to understand, but you may have not heard this before. So this is the best way to think about how do I interact with ChatGPT, and I promise by listening to this, you're going to get great results going forward with your AI searches. Now, just as a point to mention, there's going to be a few times during this presentation where somebody from the audience will ask a question. You might not hear the question. I apologize for that. I will be giving the answer, so you'll probably be able to tell what that is. But the vast majority of the time, I am presenting without any questions. And there's a PDF to go along with this that is a companion piece, which will be in the show notes. So please check that out as well. You can download that and use it. But just what I want you to do is really just listen to sort of understand the framework. And from here, I promise you'll get so much value out of it. So grateful for the Women's Council of Realtors for having me. And this was a lot of fun for me, and I'll probably do more of these into the future. By the way, I do a video series, short form video, about 3 times a week on all of the social channels for Keeping It Real. So anywhere you can find us, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and probably other places, where I show 60-second clips of exactly some queries that top agents are using. I give you the query, I explain why it's effective, and then you can go out and use it today. So if you're not already following me on the different social channels or on YouTube, please do so you can get those 60-second tips. We do not post those here, so they're only on social channels and on YouTube. So please check that out. I would appreciate it, and give me your feedback. Let me know what queries you would like me to craft for you, and I'll give those to you, and I love making those videos. So anyway, all right, big intro. I appreciate that. Thank you to all the new listeners, all the returning listeners. Thank you to our sponsors, and let's get to it. My conversation, well, with me about AI and how top agents are using it. That was really great. So I have a big shoes to follow. So thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Heartland, for having me come out. Thank you, Women's Council of Realtors. I'm a huge fan of WCR. I'm a member of the Chicago chapter. And, you know, us men aren't smart enough to have our own group, but you women are very smart to do this, because I think we all need support and help. And WCR is, if nothing else, a support organization for their members. And obviously they do a lot of good in the community too. But boy, what a great thing. I've had definitely, I believe, I'd have to look, but I think I've had some national WCR people on my show. If I haven't, I need to. I've certainly reached out to them. So if anyone does have connections with their national people, let me know and I'll get them on. And so, yeah, a little bit about me. I am I podcast as more of a hobby. It's a fun thing I do. I have a day job, which I'll be doing right after this, where I work for the company called Kale Realty. We're a brokerage in the city. We have about 700 agents. I've been there for, 14 years, back when we just had a couple of agents. So it's been fun to grow that business. And half of our brokers live in the suburbs. So this is not foreign to me to be, although I don't get to go out to the suburbs. I live in the city, so I'm not out here very much. But I'm grateful to be here and excited to speak with everyone today. I also have the podcast. So, and what do I do at Kale? I'm an agent, but I don't practice. So don't ask me real estate questions, because you'll know more than me. Which is funny, because I have this podcast which is fairly popular for real estate agents, and again, people ask me questions, and I just try to say, I ask the experts. But I do have access to a lot of experts, so that's what we'll talk about a little bit today. Is what are the top agents doing in AI? But what do I do during the day? Is I recruit agents. Don't worry, I'm not going to try to recruit anyone here, but that's what I do all day. So I sit at a desk, and I do support also for our 700 agents. So I hear a lot about the questions and challenges realtors have, as well as talking to top agents all over the country. So I've done about 700 episodes. My podcast is also, it's called Keeping It Real. I wish I would have renamed it, because there's about 5 other podcasts also called Keeping It Real. So that was, maybe a tactical error 7 years ago. But we have over 700 episodes or so, I think. And we put out a few episodes a week. I talk to the top agents in the country and just say, how'd you do that? How'd you grow your business? I thought it was just a smart thing to do, because back when I started, we didn't have much training at our firm. We have that now, but back then we didn't. I thought, well, if I collected the stories from the top agents, that'd probably be pretty good for our agents. And then I just thought, I'll just put it out there for everyone. And so it's been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate anyone who's a listener, and check it out, see if you like it. And if you do, tell someone else about it. That would also help. But we have sponsors, and it's really fun. I have a whole team that works on it now, and it's just really fun to do. So my boss is nice enough to let me do it. So that is why I'm here today, is really we actually at our firm, we just launched an AI chatbot for our agents, because we want to cut down on the support questions. Not that we don't love supporting our agents. We have a lot of them, and we don't have, we only have 7 of us in our support team. So we have to make sure that, we have access to information when we're sleeping, and we're not around to, pick up the phone and answer those calls. So we created a little AI chatbot of our own. So we're really AI forward at our company. It's been really fun. It was really hard to develop an AI chat that's knows everything our support team knows. So we're actually learning this along the way too. But this is going to be coming. If your brokerage doesn't have that, it will. Everyone's going to have an AI chatbot. You probably already are using ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Grok or Claude or any of those other AI systems. So if you haven't, don't worry, we're going to get you through it. But what I really want to talk about today is just how to utilize ChatGPT. And I'm going to give you all sorts of suggestions about how you could use it in your business. And I can give you prompts. I have prompts in this PDF. This PDF, by the way, will be emailed to you. I'll send it to Jennifer. She can distribute it. I'm recording this as well. So don't worry if you miss anything. We'll have the recording. You guys can download it. I'll probably make it even a podcast episode so you can all be part of my podcast audience. I appreciate that. And don't worry, though, you're not on camera. It's just me. And then you'll be able to watch this back. So don't worry if you miss something. What I really want to impart today, and this is part of our journey when we were building our chatbot, which took us months at our firm. I mean, you'd think it'd be pretty simple. Like we have a website that's for our agents, and it has hundreds of questions and support stuff because we were smart enough to do that like 10 years ago. And then we thought, okay, well, we're just going to have it read everything, and then it'll just know what to say. We found that, it's a lot more than that. And so when we were building ours, we just thought it'd be so easy, and it wasn't. And we had to learn how to teach the AI what we wanted it to tell our agents, and so I'm going to sort of teach to you some of the learnings we have taken over that time. And also I talk to top agents all over the country and I ask them, how do you use AI? So that's all we're going to do. My intention today is really to teach you how to communicate with AI, not to necessarily say these are the best prompts. I give you a bunch of examples of good prompts, I think, but you're going to be able to craft your own when we're done with here. Because I shouldn't say that. How many people have utilized like ChatGPT or one of the, okay, it seems like most everyone. Okay. If you haven't, don't worry. Super easy. It's free, by the way. Although I do recommend pay for the premium version. It's like, what is it? $20 a month? It's the best $20 you'll ever spend. Like it is way better. Like cancel your HBO Max, which is like, I think I pay $25 a month for that. I love that, but this is going to help you more. So, if you're strapped for cash, beg, borrow, or steal, get that $20 because it will really, really help you. But the free version's good too. But the nice part about the paid version is it can just do more things and it can remember things. And you really want it to really get a sense of who you are along the way. And it figures that out too. So anyway, that's my little pitch for ChatGPT, but you can use other ones. Gemini's good. They're all really good. It's just pick one you like. So I'm going to talk specifically about how I use ChatGPT because that's the one I use, but they all pretty much work very similarly. And what I want to really share with you is how to best approach getting a good result. Because, I used to just type in things like, I would think about, okay, what's a good prompt for an agent? And I would think, okay, give me 10 social media post ideas, right? Which seemed like a decent idea, and I would say, I'm a realtor, give me 10 social media post ideas for content. Or maybe you'd throw a listing description, right? And say, rewrite this in a better way. We've probably all tried some version of that and we get varying results, right? Sometimes it's a wonderful, like exactly what I'm looking for. And other times it's like, it's more general. I know I used to be frustrated when pre-AI, we would go online and look for like, what are 10 good marketing ideas as a realtor I should do today? And you'd find these lists of top 10 things to do. And mostly they're really generic in most lists. Have you guys noticed that? The website lists, they're not typically that great. And so I wanted to sort of get past that because AI is trained on stuff like that. So you have to actually really teach it exactly what you're looking for. And the good news is it's pretty easy once you sort of think the framework. Once you understand the framework and sort of just think it through a little bit, it'll make your results much, much better. And, I'm going to show you how I do that and how I recommend doing that. And then I threw in my ideas into ChatGPT and said, are these accurate, right? Because I wanted to make sure that ChatGPT agreed that these are great ways to get better results. So I'm even using ChatGPT to help with this presentation. Let's get started. I'm going to get you this PDF, so don't worry about if you can't see it. I'm just going to be talking through it. There's, it's really not that much to look at the moment, but I'll certainly give you the gist of it. And I think we should start with how do you best think about approaching AI? Think of it as the way I think of it. I'm not going to tell you how to think about it, but the way I think about it is more of a consultant. Has anyone ever worked in consultancy, or does anyone have the consultant in their family? Or if you have, you typically know what they do, which is, it's always a little, I never quite understand what a consultant really does, but I understand the process, which is they go into a business or they have a client who has a problem. And then they go in and say, all right, or I'll give you a better example. You go to the doctor, right? You have some sort of reason you're going to see the doctor. And before you just go, hey, I got this problem and I need a solution, they're like, whoa, fill out these 200 questions about your health history, because it's really important that we know exactly what your health has been over the last, your entire life. And we need to know what happened with your family and all that stuff, because that might influence what I recommend as a solution for your health issue, right? Consultants do the same thing. So we're going to sort of think of it as AI is not just a search engine, and it's way more than that. And if you can get really dialed in to exactly what you need, and if you think about who should be answering the question, not letting ChatGPT just decide, here's how I think it should answer the question for my query, my question, is I'm going to tell it exactly the type of person that would be best suited to answer this question. So I'll say that again. So if I had a injury with my brain, right, I wouldn't go to a general practitioner. I'd be like, I better go to a neurologist, or I better go to a neurosurgeon, or I better find out who's the specialist who handles, my particular brain issue, right? So we're going to think about it as ChatGPT in its essence is just a general practitioner, which is great. It can give you all sorts of good ideas. But if you really want dialed in ideas, you're going to want to go to a little bit of a higher level in specialty, which means you got to tell it that. And over time, if you have the paid version, it'll sort of learn kind of who you are and what you need. So you don't always have to do this, but you'll have to do it initially, right? So let's think about let's actually make this really interactive. So let's just think about right now, just think of it doesn't have to be the biggest challenge, because biggest challenge might be hard to figure out, but what's one challenge that any of you are experiencing right now in your business? Just yell out one challenge. Oh, you have challenges, I promise.
Market time.
What does that mean?
It's slowing down a little bit.
So listings are staying on the market for longer. Yes, that's a national thing, by the way, if you guys haven't been reading about that. So, problem. Listings are staying on the market for longer. What does that basically mean, by the way? Prices are too high, right? Right? That's the answer. Now, that doesn't mean it's an easy answer, and it doesn't mean, okay, well, my clients are just going to have to deal with that, because obviously they might have to, or they might not. That's your decision. But that's what it means, essentially, right? Okay, so that's the problem. The problem is my listings aren't selling. I'm not getting action on my listings. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that accurate? Fair enough. Okay. Is a lot of people experiencing this? Yes? Okay. So how might we think about ChatGPT to solve this problem? Now, by the way, it might not be able to solve this problem, but we're gonna give it a shot. I'm not gonna feed in. I'm not gonna get a result from this. I'm just gonna teach you how to think about getting a result. So if we were to think, who would know of what type of expert or what type of individual would be really a great resource if you had them in your office and you had somebody who was like, oh, that's not a problem for me? What would be that kind of person's characteristics? So let's think about that. Who would know how to solve that problem? It's a tough question, but let's think about it. Maybe top producer? Somebody who's maybe go into MRED and look for who's beating the market time, who's selling things within 7 days as opposed to 20 days, right? Maybe somebody like that, right? So we would want to look for a top list, an agent who is producing and selling homes more quickly than what the market is currently averaging. Does that make sense? Now, we don't know who that person is, and we don't know what skills they have, but we know that they can do that. That's all we need to know. So the first step is for us to define the role of who's going to solve this problem. Now, again, this sounds sort of like, okay, I guess, but this is how it works. So you have to think about who's the person that can best solve this problem. I'll give you an example. I was coming into Crystal Lake last night. I'm not familiar with Crystal Lake. I know about it, but I don't know, I was hungry and I needed to eat something, and I'm like, I don't know what the good restaurants are out here. So at first I just thought, best restaurants in Crystal Lake, and that's all I typed in. And it gave me a bunch of ideas, and I thought, well, best according to who? Like, who's determining what's best? Like, people have different tastes. People have different budgets. People have some people, eat fancy. Other people eat more, casual. Like, everyone's different. It doesn't know what I want. And then I thought, well, I guess I could tell it what I want, but I don't really care. It could be fancy or it could be inexpensive. I just want good. And I thought, okay, well, who would know what the best restaurants are? Or at least who might know? And I thought, well, a food critic would probably know, right? If I trusted that the food critic was good, but I figured that was a good idea. So I typed in, imagine you're a food critic, an expert food critic, and you write a column for your paper or on TV. What would you recommend as the 3 best restaurants to eat that are open right now? Because I was coming in late, and it gave me 3 ideas. I won't say what they are because I don't have any stake in this. It doesn't matter. But that that actually gave me different results. And then it even explained to me why, as a food critic, it would recommend. And these were not. I thought they would give me like the fanciest places, and I was like, oh, I don't really want to do that, but it didn't. It gave me like really approachable places, and I could have refined it further. And I said, well, I really want to eat more upscale, or I want to have more casual experience. I could have done that, but it just gave me 3 really like simple, good ideas. I was like, okay, cool, and that's what I selected from. So really, really easy, right? So we want to think about who can best solve this problem. Now the problem is real. Homes aren't selling as quickly. We're dealing with this in the city. The suburbs are certainly dealing with it. Nationwide, I think the average time on market is now up to, oh gosh, does anyone know? Is it 40 days? It used to be 26. So this is not a problem that is unique to here, and it is a problem. Yeah. So it's all, and again, I might have those numbers wrong, but the point is that this is a problem. And your clients are going to be upset if they're not getting action on their property and you have promised them that you will get them action, right? Or if you've suggested they will, because you're going to have a pretty hard conversation with them about pricing or taking it off the market maybe, right? So, or making improvements or whatever the solution is. So the first step is in this problem to think, okay, who could best solve it? Right? Who's the role of the person that could best solve it? And the more specific I could get, so I would write something like acting as a top 1% listing agent who is able to have their listings sold, 50% quicker than the average realtor in my area in Crystal Lake, right? I would even, or whatever area you might be, this listing might be in. I would even get that specific because it can even start to look at that data. I was thinking of moving out to Oak Park recently. First thing I did, I thought I should probably learn like what the market is really like in Oak Park. And I could study MRED, but I want to talk to an expert. So I said, give me the agents who have sold the most homes in Oak Park in the last year. And, I could do that on MRED too, but ChatGPT did faster. And then I called those Oak Park agents and I said, hey, I'm not going to use you because I'm an agent, but like, I would really love if you had any tips for me. And by the way, aren't realtors so generous with information? Like they had no real reason to help me, although they have listings and maybe they'd consider me for a listing to tell me about it maybe even before it hits the market. I don't know, but they were just like, oh, you need to do this and this. So like I did a version of this in real life. I just asked those 3 people and they had no reason to want to help me, and technically I'm competition, but people are pretty nice, right? So we want to think about that. Who could best solve this problem, or what type of person could solve this problem, and what characteristics would they have? So I would start there. So now, is this going to give you a magic bullet answer like, oh, you just have to do this one thing? Probably not, but it'll give you a better probability of giving a good answer. Does this make sense? Yes. Okay, let's do one more just to have fun. Think of one other issue that somebody is having that is, making your life just a little bit more difficult right now.
Buyers waiting for prices and rates to go back.
Oh, well, we have a guaranteed rate person here, so he gets that question all day long. By the way, rates are at a 10 all year low, right? So like, but people are still like, they're not 3%. And everyone who has a 3% rate is, why would I sell, right? Like, I have to sell at a 3, I have to give up my 3% rate here shortly. I'm not happy about it, but oh well, such is life. And so I get it. That's a real problem, right? But it's like 85% of the country has less than like a 4%. The guaranteed rate, a gentleman can give you the stats on that, but like, it's tough. Like getting people to want to move, that's a rough one. I have to, so, for a life event. So makes sense for me, but certainly not something I'm happy about, but that's a problem. So that's a great one. So I would say acting as I might start with a top loan consultant, an originator, a mortgage lender. I might start there and say, what would a top lender say is a reason to consider selling your property if you're looking for a listing, even though you might have a 3% mortgage, right? And by the way, are there reasons to consider giving up, even if you don't have to move? Are there any good arguments to be made to give up your property at a 3% current rate for a 6 or a 7% rate? There are, right? Maybe they're not compelling to the person you'll be sharing that with, or maybe they won't want to do it. But is there an answer to that? There is. And it makes sense. And it makes sense in my situation. Number one, I don't want to compete with everybody when the rates come down, because what's that going to do to pricing? It's going to shoot it up. And our friend at Guaranteed Rate will tell you, you date the rate, you marry the home, right? So, it sucks and nobody wants to pay borrow money at twice the expense it was, years ago, but oh well. So I'd rather not compete with all these buyers personally. But is that a hard psychological barrier to get over? Sure, that's a tough one. So again, I might throw into ChatGPT, what might I say if I were a top loan officer who does, have a lot of clients that currently have a 3% rate and is able to, convince them to consider maybe giving that up, or if they're a first-time home buyer, why might they consider taking this rate? First-time home buyers don't typically care that much, right? But certainly people who own a home do. So that's something that to think. Put that in, acting as a top loan officer or acting as an agent that is working with lots of buyers right now. What might the top agent? What might they be saying to? Now you don't have to answer that. ChatGPT will answer that. So if you write this out and get really specific about who's answering the question, you will get some pretty cool answers. Has anyone tried this approach? Yeah, and it works, right?
Well, and like my favorite thing is I pay for the
Mm-hmm.
improved version, and I was like, I'm just gonna try it, and like I got it. No, it's crazy because it tells you how to better refine and get drill down to
Yeah.
what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So that's like the other thing. Once it starts to get to know you, it will tell you what your next question should be.
Yeah. And by the way, if you don't get a good result, you can just write in, this is pretty general. I need more specific advice. Or can you find 5 other maybe suggestions, right? You could just keep asking it questions. So we're going to, number 1, define role and context. So we're going to define who can answer this and what characteristics might they have. Okay. So in and of itself, if that's all you ever did with your queries, this will dramatically improve the results. That's the most important thing. Again, acting as a top food critic, whatever that even means, right? But it gave me, and then it gave me, back to the food critic one, it gave me its reasoning for why a food critic would like this particular place. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Now, who knows? Maybe it just picked 3 at random. I don't know. But at least I think it was helpful. It was better than I could have done on my own. Number 2 is specify the business goal. So not just I have this problem where buyers are waiting for rates to come down, or they're sitting on the fence, or listings are sitting on the market. What are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to get buyers off the fence. We're trying to get people to understand that now might be a good time to consider buying because not as much competition, and maybe it'd be better to do it now than later. Who knows? I don't know. You guys are the market experts. You know the answers to those questions. But certainly there's people that are doing business right now despite those challenges. So we want to get the goal. The goal is what? I want more listings. I want more buyers off the fence. Or I want the best restaurants here in the area, right? So we want to get very specific about not just I want 10 social media post ideas. I want 10 social media post ideas that will encourage people to consider buying even though they might think it's not a great time to buy. Okay. So, make sense? Cool. So, you're going to get all this, by the way, so don't worry about writing it down if you feel free to, but I'm going to go through it fairly quickly. And, so just making sure I covered everything. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, let's move on to, so we're going to give it who's going to answer this and what's our goal. What are we trying? And the more specific you get, the better with your goal. So it's I want to lose weight. Okay, how much? Do you want to lose weight or do you want to lose fat? Do you want to burn muscle? Probably not. Do you want to lose fat? Probably, right? So I hear this all the time. It's I lost 20 pounds, right? People, we talk like this because we look at the number on the scale. And it's what does that mean? It might be really bad to lose 20 pounds because if you're losing muscle, that is really bad, right? So it's we want to get specific. How do I burn more fat? How do I build more muscle? How do I, that kind of thing. So, okay, we're going to also give it some constraints and boundaries because we want to make sure, it's like a child. You have to tell it you can do this and not that, right? These are the boundaries that you play in. So it needs to make sure that it aligns with who you are and what you're capable of, right? If you're a part-time agent and it's I need you to, go on Facebook 4 hours a day and do research on every one of your prospects and then comment on every one of their posts, well, that's probably not realistic, right? For somebody who's, maybe it's realistic for some of us, but others of us we have families, we have other things going on, we have other responsibilities, and we're not going to be able to do that. And that's going to give us a result where oh, I don't care, I can't do that. So we want to give it very specific instructions about how much time I have to do these tasks, right? If you're asking for a solution to a task, how can I do this how can I do this quickly? How could I do all my social media, posting, or what I call research and development. So by the way, if you're not using social media, just as an aside, for research and development, like I'd almost say it's more important than the posting. Like posting, unless you're putting out really great content that's like, do this, here's a great idea. Like that's great. If you're just like, I just sold a home, look at me. Like, okay, fine. But what you really want to think about is, how do I learn about people on social media, right? Social media is a great place to know what's going on in your, we were just talking about somebody here works at a firm that a friend of mine owns, and he pays attention to what his agents do in their personal life because he follows them on social. What do you think that does for the people at his office? They think that's probably pretty cool, right? They're like, wow, what's going on in my life. Yeah, he follows you on social. He makes it a point to do that, right? So that's just my little plug for use social to learn about people so that you can call them up and go like, I just saw you went on a vacation. Like maybe it's not always fun to go, are you ready to buy and sell a home, right? But you could call and say, you just went to Cabo. Like, tell me about it. Was it awesome? Like, maybe I should go. Would you recommend it? Right? Those are wonderful reasons to pick up the phone. So that's my little side thing. I'll get off that. But take that as a little bonus tip. And top agents do that, right? They develop relationships with their clients. Okay, I'll get off that. We're going to talk about boundaries, right? So we want to tell the AI agent, here's how much time I have. Here's what I'm capable of, so that it doesn't give me some unrealistic idea of what it thinks I should do if I had unlimited time. Because it might not know that you are a mother of, or a parent of 3 children, and by the way, you also work another job and you take care of elderly parents, and you've got a million other things going on. So you got to make sure it knows what you're capable of as far as time and your skill set and all of that. So here, I've got a few examples of that. Now, this is also really important, requesting multiple perspectives. So perspectives being who else might be able to sort of see this from a different angle. I always say, even though I'm technically in this business, I don't know that much about real estate, truthfully. So when people ask me for like, how's the market doing? I'm like, oh no, you don't want my answer on that, because all I do is just regurgitate what I've heard from other people. I'm not out there in the trenches. You need to talk to a practicing agent. Like, they know what's going on. They know in their market, they're at boots on the ground. I'm just the guy that reads articles. So, or I talk to top producers and I hear what they say, but they're out there doing it. So I would want to know things like, as a top producer. So I do a video series. I just started this. I thought it was kind of fun. You can subscribe to it on any of my social channels, which is the Keeping It Real podcast. We're on everywhere: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, YouTube, LinkedIn, everywhere. So I started doing this. I just got a cool animation for it that I'm really excited about. But it's an AI agent minute, and it's basically giving you a prompt. I'm not going to be able to do it every day, but I do it about 3 times a week, 60 seconds. I'm like, here's a good idea. Well, what I think is a good idea. Here's an idea for an agent to consider using to help grow their business. And I give you the prompt. I explain why I think it's a good idea. And that's obviously all free. You can check that out. But what I do is to make sure it is a good idea for agents who might be at a certain level of their production, is I ask ChatGPT, assume you are an agent of this production, this many years in the business. Would this prompt idea that I'm about to share in a video, would this land with you? Like, is this something that, my girlfriend's a trial attorney. So she deals with juries, and she does civil cases. And juries are really important in civil cases because juries dictate how much money people get. Judges don't, which is really interesting. I didn't know this until I started dating her. And so a jury might think somebody should get $40 million, which, by the way, is insane to me, but that, for whatever the reasoning is. But yeah, juries will be like, sure, just that seems right. But so she'll ask me a lot of times, I'm going to give you this argument. What do you think about it? And I'm just, I don't know anything about the law. So she gets my perspective because she's too close to it, right? So sometimes we're a little too close to things, right? So we want to ask from a perspective of the person we're maybe trying to influence or the problem we're trying to solve. Let's remember, not everyone knows about rates. Not everyone knows about, time on market, right? But our buyers and sellers, they got their own lives. So as a person who doesn't really follow the market, how might they perceive this suggestion I'm about to give them? Right? She does this with ChatGPT too, where she throws in, I'm about to make this argument to, here's the type of jury member that we're probably going to have on the stand. She throws this in and she goes, what do you think about this argument? Or she asks me, We do both. So we want to get different perspectives. So again, give me 3 marketing ideas as if you're my branding coach. Wow, that's a great one. So Kim Ripperg was mentioned by Jennifer. Kim Ripperg comes on my show once a month. She's from Brooklyn. She's awesome. She's an ex-Netflix executive, and she's worked in she set up Us Weekly's video division. So she's like, comes from that world. She's just like the coolest person. I love Kim. And she's nice enough to come on my show once a month and say, here's how you do video. Anyway, little plug for Kim. She's awesome. If you just subscribe to my show just for Kim's stuff, you'll get so much out of it. But anyway, Kim's a branding coach. That's what she teaches, is like, here's how to present yourself on video. So I might say, as a video branding coach, I want to make this video where I'm seen as an expert around why people who have a 3% mortgage may want to consider looking at a property to buy and maybe sell their existing property, even though they might be getting this larger interest rate. Make sense? Okay. So you want to get a lot of different ideas. So think about, and again, what we're really doing is we're thinking like a consultant, right? Consultants aren't necessarily experts at solving the problems that they go in to solve. They're experts at figuring out what's the problem, and what's the outcome, and like who's the use case, like how would we actually use it, and then they go out and find the experts to tell them what to, then they oftentimes tell the client exactly what the experts say. Okay, and so multiple perspectives, and then last is role reversal and iteration. Okay, so what this just means is the first answer sometimes is the best answer. Oftentimes, why not try again? See what you can get a couple other times. This sounds like a lot of work. It really isn't. Once you get the idea of this, you'll just constantly be chatting with ChatGPT. And what's really cool about ChatGPT and some of the other ones is you can just talk to it now. Is anyone using the talk to feature? It's like having a conversation. By the way, pro tip here, if you are not practicing your objection handling or your listing presentation or your phone calls, your client care calls, or I got to deliver some bad news to a client. If you're not practicing those are really good ideas to sharpen those skills. Go into ChatGPT and say, I need you to play the role of this particular person, and you need to throw every objection you can at me. Then I want you to judge my answers as put them on a scale of 1 to 10 of whatever, however you want to do it, and then you can just go back and forth and keep refining it until ChatGPT's like, that's a pretty good answer. I'm doing a talk on AI with Ben Lales from Compass. He has a large team in the city, and Ben does this with all of his team members. They all have ChatGPT and they all practice. He goes, I used to have to coach every single one for these like role playing. He goes, we don't do that anymore. We trained ChatGPT. We actually even trained a model within ChatGPT of exactly how he thinks those answers should go. He trained ChatGPT, and then his agents all go into that ChatGPT little language model, and then they are trained from. I'm like, that's brilliant. Like, that's so smart, right? So that's a great idea too. While you're driving around, ask ChatGPT, like, hey, quiz me a little bit. Like, imagine you're going to throw this objection at me, or imagine you're going to say, whatever challenges you guys experience out in the world, right? These are great things. I'm a recruiter, so I do this. I should do it more, but I should be doing this when people are like, why should I join your company? There's 200 other companies to join. It's like, that's true. That's a good question. And I better have an answer that's pretty compelling. And I've been doing this 14 years, and I'm like, I got to still sharpen my skills there, because there's some great firms out there that I compete with, and it's like, oh yeah, there's some great ones. So I have to continually sharpen my skills. So that's just my little pro tip there. But role reversal, right? So here's great. Gives you one answer. You're like, okay, critique this. If you were my competitor, so I do this with recruiting. Like, we have a very specific kind of offering that we offer that's a little bit more unique than. Not that it's better or worse, but just different from what other firms offer. So I'm like, okay, imagine you're a competitor that offers a totally different thing. And what would they say to like hearing about my thing? They might be like, oh, you don't want to go there. They've got all sorts of, things that we don't have, or we have that they don't, whatever. So I want to hear that stuff, because that helps me, better compete in the marketplace. Right? Okay. There we go. All right. So you guys are going to get all this, and I'm going to just kind of let's just regurgitate this. Let's make it really simple and clear. So I basically just broke it down into a really simple quick template. And this way, it's a little one pager. You just copy and paste this, throw it in a notepad file so you have it, so you don't have to like think about this. Acting as a expert in whatever I'm looking to solve. Here's my goal. This is what I need solved, and I want to get really specific. Here are my constraints. Here's what I have available. These are the resources I have, right? And here's the time I have. Give me suggestions from multiple perspectives, and then let's critique it, because there's always better ideas, and then let's refine and improve it. And then also, this is just kind of a little bonus thing, deliver the answer in a certain format, right? So step-by-step plan, content calendar, script with examples, right? Because what ChatGPT is really good at now is actually asking you what format at the end. Like they'll say, like, would you like me to do this, to put this in a cool presentation for you? So it's pretty good about that, but feel free just to, if it doesn't, suggest that you could throw that in as well. Say, I was asking it for 7 ideas for new prompts to consider for my little AI Agent Minute video thing. And it said, would you like me to build you a content calendar with these 7 ideas? I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I wish I had thought of that. It did it for me. And then it said, when are you free to do these? And I was like, oh yeah, now I need to schedule it, right? So, and then it was like, okay, do you want me to put these on the calendar for you? Or do you want to do it? I was like, oh, this is so great. So you can really use ChatGPT as a virtual assistant in a lot of ways too. Does anyone use it as a virtual assistant to like, yeah, pretty cool. How do you use it? Yeah. So you'll like throw in your to-dos and be like, what should I do when? Or here's my availability. Brilliant. That's a great one, right? Yes. Wow. That's a great one. Mindset, right? Like, yeah, I mean, that's a wonderful one. Getting in the right mindset, having maybe some gratitude or some perspective, like I got another day. Like a lot of people didn't get another day today. We got another day, right? That might be something that ChatGPT can remind you of, right? Like you should really think about, how lucky we are and that those kind of things. So mindset is everything. What a great idea. And, give me a little meditation to get my mind centered and focused on being, calm or being, productive or being grateful or whatever feelings and mindsets we want to have, help me stay on track today. I put in problems. I tend to get distracted with social media. I mean, that's actually not one of mine. I get distracted in a lot of other ways, but probably a lot of us deal with like social media stuff because you guys have to be on social all the time. I don't. So I'm not as trapped as you guys might be, but that becomes a problem because you start doom scrolling and then all of a sudden an hour goes by and maybe you're like, oh, shouldn't have done that. Okay, well, tell ChatGPT about that. I've got this problem. My girlfriend has this problem. She's like, she has a thing on her phone now where I only know the password and it like locks her out of, I think, Instagram or something. I don't know. It locks her out because she's like, I'm not to be trusted. This is like a very successful, effective individual who is a slave to it, just like we're all slaves to certain urges that we can't, do all on our own. So ask ChatGPT for help with that stuff. I get distracted reading stuff on Reddit, right? That's kind of my version of social media. And I'm reading and I go down rabbit holes and I'm like, what am I doing? Like I need help with this. So I asked ChatGPT, how do I stay focused? Okay, guys, it is 10 o'clock. I want to share with you, how much time do we have? Are we out of time? We have till 11. Okay, cool. So has this been useful, by the way? Are we getting it? Okay, cool. Well, that's all I could have asked for. But I want to share with you, I also have 10 prompts that, again, you might read these and go, I could write a better prompt. Cool, do it, right? But I have prompts that I have talked to top agents who are using prompts just like these. And these are ones I haven't created myself. I actually got from top agents. So I figured, they know better than me. So these are all different prompts. I have listing persuasion. I have daily prospecting, objection handling. What else do I have? Hyperlocal market reports. Here's another way you can use ChatGPT. On your way to a showing, ask ChatGPT, tell me everything you know about this address. Tell me everything we got to get better than that. Acting as a first-time home buyer who's moving into the area who doesn't know anything about this, again, assuming that's your client or whoever your client is. Maybe they live there 30 years, whatever. Whoever that is, acting as somebody who's considering buying this property, what might I want to know as this person before making a decision? I did this with my condo because I'm going to be listing it shortly. And I was shocked at what it knew about my condo. Like, I don't know where it got the information. I don't know if I don't think it's tied into it's probably tied into the MLS in some capacity because MLS is kind of everywhere now. But anyway, it knew what kind of countertops I had. I was shocked. Like it was amazing. And my place is it was built 4 years ago. It's not like it's been on, so anyway, it knows stuff. Or you might say like, as a mother of 3 or as a family with young children, what might they want to know about the area nearest X address, right? That's good stuff. Or where's the best grocery store nearby, or where's the closest park, or these are things that like you used to have to figure out on your own. It's kind of a lot, especially if you're going all over the place, right? It's tough. So think about questions like that. Talk it into ChatGPT on the drive over. Like, hey, what would you tell somebody looking to move in this area? What are the 3 coolest things about this area? What's some cool bits of trivia about this neighborhood or this property or the suburb? Or, right, these would be kind of fun things because then you can just seem like an expert, right? Even if you didn't know it 5 minutes ago. So how else? I would love to know how else you guys are using ChatGPT. So start thinking about that. Thank you for those 2 great ideas. I love the one about the morning meditation. That is really great. I'm going to start doing that. So just think about that because I'm going to bring it back to you guys in a second, have you give me some ideas. And if you don't know because you haven't used it, how might you use it? So let's all think of one prompt because we could share it with everybody. So let's think about something that we think that might be helpful. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just the idea, the kernel of the idea, and we'll get some. We'll have some hands in a minute. So social media content calendar. I sort of talked about this. FSBOs and expireds. Is anyone doing FSBOs and expireds? Some of us. Those are tough, right? Ooh, you got to have a real strong will to do FSBOs and expireds because that's a tough one. But are there people that have success with that? To me, that's like the hardest call you can make. There are people that love it. They're like, oh, I love it. I get deals out of it. I'm like, man, it's like going into the lion's den with those. They could be tough. They could get yelled at. But people have success with it. So that would be a great one. If you want to try FSBOs and expireds, you should get some training on those first, because those can take you down. Has anyone tried it and been like, what's that? Yeah, right. But has anyone tried to? Am I telling the truth on FSBOs and expireds? They can be tricky. And I don't mean to suggest there's anything wrong with that. Like, tricky is good in a way because it scares away most other competition. So, and the people that are good at it love it, the fact that it's hard because other people won't do it. So I'm not saying don't do it. I think it's great. I just think it takes a very certain type of person that can handle some good rejection. And most of us are, I don't know. I'm too sensitive for that. But I appreciate that. I mean, I'm in recruiting. I get rejected every day, so I'm used to getting rejected too. But that's okay. And if rejection's an issue for you, throw that into ChatGPT. I struggle with rejection. It really hurts my feelings. It bums me out when somebody's like, "Hey, my close friend, I went with another agent, right? Like, how do I best handle that myself?" Maybe you get some personal guidance there, and then maybe how might you recommend, how do top agents minimize the probability of that happening, right? Because it's probably, sometimes that just happens, somebody just makes a different decision, but sometimes it's on us. Sometimes it's like, well, we didn't stay in touch with that person. We were a secret realtor. We didn't ever tell that person, when you're ready, please call me. Or, if you hear anybody out there at your job that needs help, please tell them about me, right? So these are ways you can consider. Just always be thinking about what are the problems of my business. And you always have problems. I have problems. We all have problems. And nobody's free of problems. Even the top producers, I have Carrie McCormick, I don't know if you guys know Carrie, she works a little bit closer to the city mostly, but she's like one of the very top producers in all of the Chicagoland area. She's having her best year ever this year, and it's 250 million, I think, so far this year, all herself, 115 sales, all herself. Like, no team, crazy. Like, she knows things, right? So that's why I have her on my show, because she just was able to share things like that. But my point is there are solutions to these problems, right? And a lot of times it's skill. You just got to learn a new skill. Cool part is ChatGPT can do that. A lot of times it's knowledge or just knowing the answer to something. ChatGPT can help you with that, right? So we have, managing brokers, and we have trainers and coaches. And some of us have maybe pay for a coach, or we have an accountability partner. By the way, if you don't have a real life in-person accountability partner, please get one. Like, please, please, please. We all need one. I need one. My CEO every Monday, who, by the way, we hired for him to do this, part of his job. He's like, what did you do this week? Like, I don't like to answer that question because I've been there 14 years and I helped build the company. I'm like, no, I need that because I need somebody to be like, hey, what did you do? Like, what are you doing this week? Are you on target? So we all need help. So get somebody who can help keep you on track. Are there any Brian Buffini people out here? Yes. Brian Buffini is all about accountability, right? He had Joe Niego was his accountability partner, who was just a realtor in Chicago, and he was in San Diego, I think. And they would call each other up every day and go, what'd you do today? Did you win the day? Right? Very smart, right? So that's free. And ChatGPT can sort of help you do that, but I would get a real life person because then you can share ideas and you'll help each other. And, it's really fun to do that. I have an accountability partner and keeps me on target. Okay. Sorry, I got a little bit off track there. Open house conversion blueprints. How many people find that I just am not having the success converting open house leads that I would really like to have? Is that okay? Good. There's some honest answers here. Good. Now, for anyone who didn't raise their hand, that's like, I know how to do this. You guys should find those people. Be like, what are you doing? I want to hear. By the way, I have an episode. I'll share it with Jennifer because I finally talked to somebody who I think has cracked the code. He's from San Diego, I believe. Just a random top agent. And he was like, oh, I want to talk about open houses. His team, they do 20 to 40 open houses a weekend. No joke. He's in his 20s. You know what he does? He calls other agents. And he's like, can I do an open house for your listing? Which, by the way, you guys should do too if you don't have enough listings, at least for people in your own office. Sure, try that. But he does it for agents at other firms, and which I don't think we can do in Illinois. So, I don't think don't do that. But I think in California, for some reason, that's okay. So he does that, and these other agents love it because he puts on such an event. So I'll send you guys a link to that because you'll be shocked at all the work he does for these. It's crazy, but there's a solution. Right? So if you're not having luck with open houses, cool. Awesome. Appreciate that honesty. Now let's learn how to do it. ChatGPT can help you do that too. But I have a good episode to share with you of that. So open house conversion blueprint. Local authority positioning. Ooh, who is constantly trying to position themselves as an expert in a geographic area? We all do it? Yes. Good idea, right? Right? I'll give you my own little tips on this, by the way. I'm currently talking to an agent who's now my accountability partner. She's great. She's not at my firm. She's at Baird & Warner, and we just kind of hit it off as friends. She is Elmwood Park, in closer to the city, and she's like, she thought of a problem. Now, this isn't a ChatGPT thing. It's just we'll go off script for a second, but I'll talk about how she solved this problem because I thought it was so brilliant. You could use it yourselves. She thought, after the pandemic, people were the data's in, it wasn't good for us, right? It wasn't good for us interpersonally, right? We didn't see enough people. We weren't around enough people. People are lonelier than ever. Social media has made us disconnected. We know that this is all true. We know what it does to kids. It wasn't great. So people are lonely. My girlfriend, she is like, I don't have enough girlfriends. So she's like, I bet there's a friend group, some sort of organization that can have, get you to meet other women. She wanted to meet more women specifically. She found one and she's now doing that. She has 10 new friends. It's amazing. But back to this woman in Elmwood Park, this realtor. She's like, I want to be the expert in Elmwood Park. And what's a problem? Well, I'm really lonely. I'm a mom and I don't have a lot of friends here because for whatever reason, they moved away and I want to make more friends. So she goes, I bet there's more people like me out there. So she goes on to her local Facebook Elmwood Park community group that she's not an admin of. She's just a member. And she says, hey, is anyone out there feeling lonely? Do you guys want more friends? I'm just curious, taking the temperature of the room. And she got a lot of people like, yeah, I am kind of lonely. And so she goes, I should probably work on creating a solution to this. So she went to a local coffee shop, who, by the way, local coffee shops, especially like the non-chains, the independent ones, they got it rough, right? They're competing with Starbucks, and she's like, I want to support this local, merchant because they're in my area and I like them. So she's like, hey, can I do a meetup here for like people in Elmwood Park who want to make friends? And they're like, yeah, yes, because you're going to buy coffee at our place, sure. So she's like, cool. So she went on and she goes, we're doing this meetup group. Hey, just want to meet more people, kind of learn more about, Elmwood Park and just hang out. And in her first one, she got 6 people to show up. Now, these are people she didn't know. That's a lot of people. I mean, that takes courage to walk into a place where you don't know anybody. She got 6 people to do that. And she was like, oh my God. So she goes, she took pictures. She shared it with the group. She's like, can I share all this? Everyone just hung out and talked and got to know each other. She's like, we're doing it again. And now she thinks I'm going to get 20 people the next time. Now she goes, I didn't even mention that I'm a realtor because she doesn't really have to at that point. Everyone's going to learn that she's a realtor because they're going to go, what do you do? Right? Like, that's brilliant. Right? And now Elmwood Park, she's valuable to the community because Elmwood Park probably wants more people walking around, hanging out at the local establishments, getting to know each other, having a more neighborly kind of community feel. Great for everyone. What a great idea, right? So think about that. Like, she's like, I need to solve my own problem of loneliness. How could I work this into my business without being salesy, without being like, hey, I'm the greatest realtor in the area? She's not like that. She's like, she's with Brian Buffini. She has a coach. She's like, I don't like doing pop buys. She's like, I don't want to do them. I don't want to just pop by my client's house. It freaks me out. I'm like, cool, don't do that. Do this instead. You'll meet new people and you'll add more to your database. Great idea. So cool, right? So these are the ideas I get to talk to when I talk to top agents. And she's not even a top agent. She's like on her way up. But when I talk to top agents, they all have stuff like this. So you'll hear a lot of that on my podcast. So local authority positioning. Oh, here's the other thing she's doing. I'm sorry. This is really why I brought her up. She's making content around, for video, social media, specifically around what do people who are thinking about moving to Elmwood Park need to know. Not just real estate stuff, like where's the best grocery store? Where's the best dentist? Where's the best hair salon? Where's my favorite local bookshop or whatever she's into? Hey, I'm a mom. Where are the best resources for moms with kids in grade school? Where are the whatever? I mean, I want to meet friends. Here's where you can go to do that. She makes videos about that. And guess how valuable that is to people who are moving to Elmwood Park? Super valuable. And she puts those on YouTube so that it lives forever, because on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, those are more disposable, right? They're there, then digestible, then they're kind of gone. But YouTube lives forever. So she does that as well. She posts on Instagram and Facebook too, but like really smart, right? That's how you become a local expert. You share information. And by the way, where can you get ideas about how to become a local expert? ChatGPT. How could I best position? I want to be the Crystal Lake person. I want people to know, by the way, is there not an amazing butcher in Crystal Lake? Am I wrong about that? Is it on Main Street? Is that right? Or maybe not Main Street. Is that okay. But there is like some unreal butcher out here that's like everyone raves about. Okay, because I feel like I've known that. I would go to that butcher or whoever, whatever retailer I like, be like, can I interview you for 2 minutes? And just, I work with people in your community, and I just want to make sure everybody knows that you're the best butcher in the area. They're going to be like, yes, please. I need more business, right? And you're doing it for free. That's really generous. And they're going to share it because you're going to tag them, right? So think about content around local authority positioning. Call the local newspaper if you have people that read newspapers. I don't know if people are still reading newspapers or not, but if they are, I would go, hey, editorial desk, when you need a quote about what's going on in the housing market, please call me. I interviewed somebody who got a ton of business that way. I don't remember where in the country they are. I was like, I would have never thought of that. That's brilliant. Oh, it's in Colorado. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, they call me every 2 weeks for a quote. I'm like, does that help you? She's like, it doesn't hurt me. I was like, that's awesome. Great idea. Okay. All right. I think we're good. We get it. I don't need to keep stepping on all this. We get it, right? Personal brand audit. Ooh, that's a good one. What's my brand? That you should really figure out. And I don't want to go through a whole branding exercise because even though I'm a branding guy, like you could ask ChatGPT to walk you through a branding exercise. That you should. What's my brand? How should I develop my brand? What are the feelings I want people to have about me? What are the values I need to have? What are the actions I need to take that are in alignment with those values? those kind of things. How do I present that to the world? ChatGPT can help you with all that. Okay, so you guys are going to get all this. Is this helpful? Cool. Am I teaching you more of a way to think about how to approach problems? So you should be in like, what are my problems mode all the time, because now you have like the Oracle at Delphi that is actually going to help you solve them that you don't have to pay, other than maybe $20 a month if you want to. Man, coaches are expensive, and I'm not saying don't have a coach. You should like get a coach too. But still, if maybe that's not in the cards for you at the moment because they're really expensive. Well, ChatGPT isn't, right? And ChatGPT might even know more than the coaches. So anyway, but get an accountability partner, please. Okay, let's think about, everyone's got a problem. Let's think about, and it could be, maybe it's a productivity issue. Maybe it's following up with your prospects. Maybe it's not the open house itself. Maybe it's like following up with the people from the open house. Or maybe it's, I sold a home to somebody 3 years ago and I don't really know how to like stay in touch. Like they're not going to buy or sell right now. Like I don't know what to do, right? So does anyone have just a general or specific problem? Let's help you solve it right now. And not to give you the answers, but help you figure out a way to craft an answer in ChatGPT, craft a question. So think of a problem you're having in your business. If someone brave enough to volunteer, be vulnerable. Okay, I'll give you one. I don't always follow up with my prospects. Can anyone relate to that? Yeah? Okay. Is that a good one? Okay, good. So, okay. There we go. All right. So, how might you help me if you were crafting an answer in ChatGPT or a question? What might we ask ChatGPT about how to help DJ? Well, we need to know what I'm doing, what I'm not doing. Okay. I have so many prospects that I oftentimes don't remember, even though I have a CRM, I don't remember, I should have, I need somebody to say, here's what I need. I'll tell you the answer I need. I need somebody to hand me a list every day and say, here's the 15 people you need to call today, instead of me trying to figure it out. That's the solution I probably need. So how might I ask ChatGPT to help me with that? Acting as who would solve that problem? Time management expert? Productivity coach? Something like that? Person who is a top real estate recruiter? Person who, something like that. That's pretty reasonable. So that could be the role. Okay, so let's go back to the template. By the way, you're helping me do this. This is great. I need to go back to my office and make these calls. Oops, I just hit something. Here we go. Okay. So acting as here's who can solve this problem. I want to make 15 phone calls today, and for the next, I want to make 15 phone calls every day. Okay, here's my problem. I've got 4 other side businesses that are related to real estate that I work on. I have 700 agents, and I have other things I do in my day that are unrelated to this that get in the way. So those are my constraints. I have all these things flying at me, and it's easy for me to take something that's coming at me versus going, okay, ignore that and go straight into the prospecting or the follow-ups. Okay, that's my problem. And I have an hour a day to do this. So I have an hour and a half. Give me suggestions as a real estate realtor recruiting coach, as a productivity coach, as a time management expert, as somebody who, those are good. Those are 3 good ones. I just do those. Then critique the ideas. Now, critique your own ideas. So ChatGPT gives me answers. Okay, are these good answers? Or should we keep trying? And then keep refining it. Okay, so if I imagine some of us can relate to that particular issue. Making our calls. By the way, if you struggle with making your calls, you are not alone. Almost every agent I talk to struggles to make their dials, or whatever that version is for you. So, don't worry, you're not alone. That's why it's good to have an accountability partner, because you'll be like, oh, you have the same problems I do. Cool. Or at least similar problems. What about time management because you have other responsibilities, family? Or how about this? Let's give a different one. What about clients that text you in the evening and you're like, I don't know what to do. Do I reply? It's 9 p.m. Like, do I want to train this person to message me at any time of the night? I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying you have to think about that, right? Like, maybe you're cool with that. Maybe you're not. So is this a problem some of our clients are, just say, well, I'm going to text you at 10 because that's what I do. And then maybe they have an expectation that you get back to them. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But this is a thing, right? Especially text, because text communication doesn't end. It just goes on and on. So there's no start and end, right? So by the way, is this a problem people have? Okay. Who's solved this problem? Okay. Let's solve it for you. How do you solve it?
I give them, the first time they text me after 9 o'clock, I make sure I text them at 4:30 when I wake up the next morning. So they get that feel.
Yeah.
And then I basically say, listen, this is my parameters. I work until 8 p.m.
Yeah.
After 8, I'll respond to you in general afterwards, and I don't work on Fridays.
Great. And
I'm right from day one.
right. And do you get pushback on that?
A little bit.
Okay. And how do you handle the pushback?
Well, nobody's going to die. Nothing's going to hurt that bad. If it is a true emergency,
You're there. Love it. Who would say who thinks that's a pretty good answer? But do you need to say it up front? Yeah. The key. Yeah. Yeah. And what do clients do? They push boundaries sometimes, don't they? You have to stick, just like children, right? Just like family, right?
I do that, but kind of a little bit more. In my consultation with a buyer or seller, I explain to them that my phone goes on do not disturb at 8 p.m.
Brilliant. You're not even going to see it.
Yeah, they're more than welcome to text me.
Yes.
I encourage them to text me.
Yeah.
They don't forget their question, but I will not be answering until the next day.
Awesome. Does anyone ever give you a headache about that?
No.
There you go. Pretty cool. So those are both great suggestions. Okay, what other challenges are people having? Let's make this a problem-solving session. What else?
Expense tracking.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, who solved that? Bookkeeper. Okay, bookkeeper. Acting as a bookkeeper. How would you solve an expense tracking problem?
I pay mine, so.
Oh, you're not a bookkeeper. You pay a bookkeeper. Okay. So who has solved it, which is great. That's a great suggestion. Who has solved that on their own? Okay. How do you solve that?
I use an app.
Okay.
I put every receipt in there, I put every expense in there, and it tracks all my mileage as well.
What's the name of the app? Everlance. Write that down. That's a great one. Love it. I love that. Yeah, expense tracking. That's a tough one. Funny enough, I still have to do my taxes for this year. I think I have like a few days left. My accountant is about ready to kill me.
We have until October.
Oh, it's October. Okay. Well, I'm an S corp, so I don't know if that's different, but September. Yeah, I'm September. Yeah. So thank you, thank you. Yeah. So I am in crunch mode for that, and so I've been putting that off. I've been dilly dallying on that all year. So silly. I got to get that done this weekend. All right. What other challenges? So that's expense tracking. What about prospecting? Who's having prospecting challenges? Everybody, or not everybody, a lot of us. Okay, what are the challenge? What challenge are you having? Well, you raised your hand.
For prospecting, the problem is starting the conversation, keeping it going.
A conversation about real estate with strangers? So where do you meet these people?
Networking events.
Okay, who goes to networking events? Okay, how do you talk about real estate? Who's got an answer for? Okay.
I talk to them about other things.
Why? Why don't you talk about real estate?
Well, it always comes up eventually, like what do you do?
Oh, I'm not saying you should. I'm just asking. I'm just genuinely curious. Yeah. Because you don't want to talk about yourself. You want to just learn about them. Ah, pretty good. And what does that do when somebody asks you a lot of questions about you? What does that do to the relationship?
Yeah, nobody wants to hear what you're doing.
They don't care. No. Yeah. So take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to present, right? Or some people would suggest you just have to say, how can I help you? Or what are you into? So yeah, I'm totally get that. I present. Nobody wants to hear me pitch about my firm. They do not. Does anyone want that recruiting call? Unless you were like looking for a firm, do you want those recruiting calls? Probably not. You want somebody to be like, do you have a problem? I can help you solve it. And then you can always check out my firm on your own. I mean, people are resourceful. They can look up your website. They don't need you. They can find homes on their own. They don't need you for that. They need you to help them through the process. But learning about them, great answer. What a great suggestion. Is that helpful? Yeah, just have a lot of questions. People will eventually be like, what do you do?
Lori just came up with a really good one. How do you handle clients that are time suckers?
Oh, I don't know.
Like that, like, you know, like the ones that can just
You have to ignore a couple of phone calls as you're on
I was
other
gonna say, set your time boundaries.
Well, you show them 50 houses and they're still like, but they're pre-approved, they're good, they're ready to list, they have all the paperwork. So maybe a sense of urgency. How do you create a sense of urgency with a buyer that is not
feel
being?
it. If they still live in with family and they're like, oh, my lease isn't ending.
That is
I
true.
got an order. And I'm like, well, I don't.
But that you can, but you can ask ChatGPT, what are some conversation starters I can have to pick a buyer?
And by the way, is there somebody in the room that when she said I've shown somebody 50 houses goes, I would never, ever show somebody 50 houses?
We've all done it.
I'm not judging it. I'm saying, are there people that have solved that problem? Yes. Okay. Well, or the expectation can be adjusted. Or my point is there's a solution. Somebody has solved this problem, right? And by the way, maybe you should show them 50 homes. I don't know. I'm just saying she said it was a problem, right? So I'm not judging it. You guys are the experts. That's a great one. And by the way, yes, everyone has gone through that. Everyone has done that.
You're on the waiting game. You've already put that much time into the person.
Yeah, it's tough to.
Are you gonna let the next person come up to your slot machine and pull the handle and win the grand?
Maybe.
Right? You know,
Maybe. Letting clients go is a very empowering thing I hear from what people tell me. It's very empowering. Yeah. What else? So that's a great one. By the way, thank you for that, sharing that. That's really awesome. Let's give one more, and then we'll just work-life balance. Okay. Who has some suggestions around? Are we talking about personal life and professional life? Work life. Okay. So some of us are parents, some of us are single probably, or in relationships. Some of us have kids, some of us don't. Some of us have other responsibilities work-wise. Who has some good suggestions for people who have other stuff going on? Go ahead.
You're never going to have perfect balance between work and life. What I recommend is set your boundaries. When you have 10 minutes with your child or your spouse or something like that, give them 100% of that time.
Ooh, that's good.
But other than that, it's a lifestyle. We do what we have to do and just try to be present in the moments you get.
Yeah. Do people in our lives know when we're present? Do they know when we're on our phones? Yes, they do. They do. So that's great. And yeah, balance is. I'm not a big believer in the word balance. I just have never found it personally. So good luck. If you find it, let me know. But there are adjustments that can be made, and it's understanding too what are the problems. That's how you solve balance. It'll never fully be solved because once you solve one problem, another one pops up. But that's just life, right? So it's not about getting rid of the problems. It's just about knowing, okay, I've got this problem now. How do I solve it? Ask ChatGPT for help or ask lovely people in this room. How helpful is everyone being, by the way? Isn't this great? Isn't it so lonely sometimes when we work at home and we don't have direct access to people? Maybe we don't go into an office. Nobody ever comes into our office. So yeah. So this is so cool. Use people use them in a useful way, right? Be of service to them. These people are dying to give you help, right? So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add the work-life balance, like the life part. I think it took me a while to realize that's not the problem. Like getting to go to my daughter's basketball game isn't the problem. It's something I get to do, and I stopped being worried about like what my client thought about that. Like, oh, I'm sorry, my daughter has a basketball game. Like,
Yeah.
I used to feel like it was a bad thing,
Sure.
but it's not a bad thing. So if you just embrace the things, we are independent contractors and we're our own bosses, and we get to do the things we want to do. So we should take advantage of that and be
Yeah. Yeah.
On my podcast this morning, thank you, Mel Robbins. She reminded me, in a room full of volunteers, by the way, that you should focus on when you're asked to do something, how you are going to feel the night before that event or that thing. And if you have regret, like, why on earth did I say yes to this? Then the answer prior was no.
Yeah. Or we would call that cope ahead, right? Like, I'm about to walk into this thing. Cope ahead. Yeah, cope ahead. You know, it's a good idea. It really helps when things go a different way than you expect. So before that, expect maybe they will go that way. Was that the Cal Newport? By the way, who's a Mel Robbins fan? Isn't she great? Well, thank goodness for her, right? So yeah, she just had on Cal Newport, who is he's a time management guy and a productivity guy. And he's all about slowing down productivity, doing less. And he's a professor at, I forget where, but he's like big deal. He's a data scientist, and he's awesome. So yeah, check out Mel Robbins that's a great podcast in my opinion. Okay, let's go one more. What's one more challenge we're having? What about other agents? Are there any challenges with other agents? Ah! Hey, I live there, man. I know. Unfriendly agents, maybe. Some unfriendly people. But okay, but how about getting somebody to call you back when you have a question about their listing or feedback?
Well, the feedback problem now is that people are getting sued for giving feedback by their clients. So that's what
Oh. So how can we get feedback in a way that's not going to get you sued? Okay. Oh. Now,
you can adjust your showing time template to ask questions the way you want them asked. So you can say, I'm not looking for your buyer's feedback, I want your feedback.
great suggestion. Now, what about when we call agents to get feedback and they don't return the call? How might we? Well, that's true too. Well, yeah, okay, yeah. So what do you do so what do you do? You text message.
Well, yeah, and then you ask chat how to craft a text message to get the agent to return.
There you go. Or you just say, can I do it via text? Yeah. What'd you think of the property? Who would much rather respond to a text message than a call? A lot of people. Not everyone, but some people. That's a great suggestion. I love that.
Why do you care? Why do you care about feedback?
Oh,
If they didn't put an offer in, the price is too high. There you go.
Because the seller wants the feedback.
They didn't put an offer in, the price is too high.
But I heard at a training, the
If I were
trainer
an agent, I
said,
wouldn't give you
the way
feedback.
that she
So I'm
replied
the one
was,
that gives you hate.
did you get my offer? Did you get an offer from me? And the response would be no. Well, there's my feedback.
that's a good one. Cool. All right, guys. We did a lot today. Let's all congratulate ourselves. Look at us helping each other. Cool.